I think Tim is the newest
My name's
student.
Dave Mattingly. I'm class of 81 from Mr. McCormack. And I'm just showing you all this little tribute that I wrote to him several years ago. This is actually printed on metal paper, which I thought was apropos considering the fact that he was my metal shop teacher. Mr. McCormack I met when I was 14 years old. He has been my dear friend and mentor for 47 years. And I love Mr. Mack like a father. And he's told me many times that he loves me like a son. Mr. McCormack made an amazing impact upon my life. He's the first person that ever believed in me, and he's the first person that ever taught me that I could do anything I want as long as I was willing to work hard. And he was willing to support me and mentor me through everything. I can honestly say that I would not be who I am without having the good fortune of crossing paths with him at my freshman year in high school and having him as a teacher. He made all the difference in the world to my entire life. So what's your question, Steve?
What was one thing that you could take from his class that you've brought to this day?
It says it's apropos in this tribute to Mr. McCormack's life. Obviously, I know the family well, and I know his wife and children, and I've studied, and he taught us all through school that you can do anything that you set your mind to, and don't let anyone tell you you can't. And that's the number one lesson he told me was, don't let people tell you you can't do stuff. You can do whatever you want to work hard for, and he showed me by example, and it's all detailed in here, all the different things that he did in his life. He didn't just say the words like a lot of teachers, here's theory, go do something. He did it via his actions. He did it by example. And he challenged you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I've just got one other question, or a couple other questions. Where do you work now?
Currently, I worked most of my career in automotive.
Okay.
I started out my career as a journeyman machinist and tool maker, and because of McCormack teaching me and being a machinist, I worked my way up through leader, foreman, plant manager when I was younger. I went to college in my 30s and got my master's when I was 40. I've been high-level manager in many companies. I was director of manufacturing at Tesla. I've been in Chrysler for 12 years. I've left the automotive industry a couple years ago when I currently build solar panels.
Oh, that's
to replace
awesome.
power companies. So I manufacture solar panels. I'm a director at my company for solar.
So just his impact on you and what you've done in your career is a humongous influence. Everybody knows Tesla. This world is changing. It's quite impressive to talk to you and see that you're still having a relationship with him. And there's some kind of magic that he has with his students.
Well, he's 83 years old.
84.
And he jogs up the stairs. I used to run around this house as a kid when it was being built because we were friends even back then. I mean, all those years ago. And he jogs up this street every day. He tells me, when you feel something losing, just work at it. If he loses dexterity in his hands, he works at it. If he loses balance, he focuses on it. You know, he lifts weights, he golfs, and he teaches you, get busy living or get busy dying. You know, so
You summed it up really well. I appreciate it.
He's been he has inspired thousands of people in his life by example. And I'll tell you one last story, and then I'll let you speak to other people.
Yeah.
What I love about Mr. Mack is the first day I ever met him, I walked into his class, and he looked at me and said, "What are you doing here? If you're here to learn, you can stay. If you're just another burnout that the counselor said, you can get out of my class. If you want, and me, that was like a challenge. You want to challenge me to learn? I'll show you what I can do." And that's how he's always been. He knows how to inspire. He knows how to challenge, but with love and with challenge. And he always said in his class, "I'm going to run this class like when you go in the world. I'm not going to be easy on you. I'm going to be hard on you." Because that's what you're going to face in the world. And he was so right. Because when I went in the world, I was ready for the guys the tough guys that were going to be mean to you. Because McCormack taught you, have a thin skin and a thick skin, not thin skin, a thick skin. And so anyway, I hope that gives you some summation.
That's a fantastic
of a
testimony.
47-year relationship.
Yeah, Mac has been a huge impact. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I appreciate what you're doing for Mr. Mack. He more than deserves it. and if I can support him in any way, I'm always going to be there for him.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, I'm here with Tim Schock. He is actually Mac's last student, I believe. Tim, when did you graduate?
2013.
2013. I got a couple questions for you. What is something that stuck in your mind from what Mac taught you that you carry with you today?
I think because the first time he brought me here to actually show me how to use a Bridgeport, he was like kind of being like little rough, right? And like I was like I grew up. My family's huge, so like being harassed like that didn't bother me. Like later, he's like, like 5 years later, he's like, the first day you came in here, I was being real hard on your mom's all kind of worried because she drew me here. That that it didn't phase me. That he knew I'll just be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Because he was hard. He was trying to make it like real life,
Right.
right?
Yeah. He put that pressure on to where because I was trying to machine something, and he's just trying to like egg you on a little bit. But I just stayed focused. Was trying to machine.
So what do you think he saw in you? Because Mac sees stuff in people. What did he find in you?
He knew that I was smart. He knew I was real smart because he came into our class one day, and he had like this puzzle thing, and he's kind of passing it around. Everybody's struggling with it. I grabbed him like, okay, it's not a big deal. Just kind of did it. He knew that there's something there because I was in this. I'm dyslexic, so I have a hard time reading, and that's why I was in special ed. But
Sounds like he was too.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he taught potential, not limitation. So that's the same thing he said to me. And there he is right there. The impact that he's made has been pretty amazing, especially seeing all these people here after this long. So
He has to break it up in smaller parties.
I think so. Oh, learned from Mac. What have you taught to someone else?
I'm not very influential.
Not right now? Not yet.
No, everybody just learns to just lean on me like, hey, this is
count
broken.
they count on you to get stuff done because they know you can do it.
Yeah, I just get it done. I'm a hard worker.
Problem solver, right?
Yeah.
Yep, you did that for me too. So Tim also is my very first employee. Mac's last student and my first employee. Tim worked with me for years. 4 years.
4 years.
So I also found the potential in Tim. He caught on to the software super fast.
Especially the EDM. That was funny.
Yeah, Tim learned the EDM, learned how to design, learned how to make toolpath. And we also did our own electrical in the shop, which can be super dangerous. Tim knows a lot about electricity, but we also know we need to be a lot more careful than we were. Hiring a professional electrician is the way to go. With Tim Reno, and I am surprised to find out, but not. I think Tim Reno is one of Mac's very first students. What year did you graduate?
1975.
1975. So Tim Reno is very special to me. He was my first boss. So I got introduced to Tim from Mac to be a mold maker. And Mac always said that a mold maker is like the best of the best. So Tim has been instrumental in my business and learning what I've learned. And as I've trained other people, I realize how hard it was when you lose somebody good. And I think I hurt Tim when I left, and I also think that it's been a huge education for me to realize what it's like to be on the other side of to be the boss. It's kind of a tough situation. I do have another question. You went through your whole career and you retired, from what I hear. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, yes.
How many people have you trained in the trade? Take a guess.
Guess probably personally, like you, probably 5, 6.
So 5 or 6. So if Mac taught one, I learned from Tim, he taught more, and I've taught some. The impact is, what I'm trying to show is how far this goes with Mac's 31 year of teaching career, Tim's entire company and who he's impacted, the company, just the products that we've made throughout the years has been a huge impact in the world. And I don't think people realize everything's plastic, and we have been blessed to be connected in the world of making molds, machining, and having good teachers and mentors. So I just want to thank you, Tim, for your time.
No, you're a great. Oh man.
I really am. I'm really grateful for
Oh, you.
for everything.
Well, I'm really grateful for the time that I had and still have with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't see you all the time, but
yeah. I'm embarrassed, but it's great.
this fine young man, he knew how to do a lot before he even knew how to do a lot. So that's what he tried to impress to me. So we were a very, very small shop, very personal. Everybody knew everybody, everything. But we had these steels come in 4 weeks. It took for him to get in. And one of his first jobs to do was to just take and flatten them out and square them up. So do you know how to do that? Yep. Got no problem. So
No
he
problem.
laid it in a vise and he took a skin cut. Then he flipped it over and took a skin cut. And then he flipped it over and took a skin cut. And flipped it over and took a skin cut. And I'm watching him and I knew it was really going in the wrong direction. But all of a sudden he's putting a mic on it and he's like, man, these things are, I got different readings. And I go, is it square? Well, yeah, I put it in the vise and did it. But is it square? Well, yeah, it's square. I know what square is. So I put a square on it, and we had the nicest trapezoid you ever saw.
It's a
All right?
parallelogram, if I
Yeah,
remember right.
it was a parallelogram from hell. This thing.
It was perfect.
So
It was
then we
perfect.
showed him what an angle plate was, and
That was probably one of the best lessons ever. Like, oh wow, I'm dumb at this point, but
and,
I can learn.
and see, I didn't mean to like beat you down, but it's very humbling when somebody lets you go all the way.
It is. I learned a ton from you, and you never beat me down. You just pointed out, here's the facts, and it was very educational for me, for sure.
And it was common sense. And
it was.
You went right back to your math book, and you go, I know what square is, and I knew when I was doing it what square is, but I wasn't squaring a block. I was making it just flat, flat, flat. And I just thought that was precious.
That is so fresh. That's like the number one lesson I think anybody that builds tooling needs to understand is what square is, and I'm the worst at it, so I can teach you. But ask the question again. Let's start over.
To have all these people here.
Brings back memories. I mean, I tell people, see, yeah, me and Steve, yeah, we went to school together. Oh, yeah.
We did.
But we have so much in common, all of us, and it's very relaxing, and yeah, and I like to see everybody's doing well, and yeah, get a lot of pride out of that.
You said one time that you had a mystic connection with your students, and in looking through the room, you've got someone that graduated in 2013, and you got someone that graduated in 1975,
yeah.
and they're here today, right now.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you manage that?
I think
What's
it's
your
due to
secret?
a sincere connection both ways. I cared about all you kids, and I knew you cared about me. And hey, we'll get through this together, kind of a thing. Yeah. And I always say, you guys taught me as much as I taught you. And
Yeah, so here's a good question for you then. What is something you learned from us that sticks in your mind throughout the years? Because we're a bunch of morons.
yeah, you all were. With all you guys, with your honesty. Your honesty. That,
Interesting.
Yeah, and when I had a kid that was just a lying jackass, I knew. And all you guys are here were always totally honest with you. Well, you knew I wasn't going to throw you out of class or that, but hey, tell me what you did, you know. I made a mistake, okay, learn from it and go on and grow. Yeah.
Yeah, I launched a drill chuck key and almost killed myself in his class.
Turn the lid
And he
on.
gave me the dummy one because I was the dummy. So
Spring-loaded,
the
yeah.
spring-loaded one I couldn't leave in the chuck. So I mean, he wasn't. That's real life. I could have got hurt to a point where I could tell he cared. So
The most
whether I
important,
was
did you-
embarrassed or not,
Did
I
you
knew he
learn
cared.
something? Yeah, that's all.
That's huge.
topic. I'm sorry.
Tell us about our educators. You got your master's when you were in your 40s.
Well, I'll say
when
it
you were
this way.
40s.
So, unfortunately, our educators decided along the way that they didn't value the trades. They didn't want people to be shop rats, or they didn't want people to be tradesmen. Everyone had to go to college. So they tailored our public education for college. They eliminated all the shop classes, which was so wrong in so many ways. But I would say it this way. Myself personally, I became a journeyman machinist. First I was a machinist, a journeyman machinist, and I worked my way up to leader, foreman, plant manager. I did a lot of things through my career. At 34 years old, I decided to go to college. I started with 0 credits. I got my bachelor's in 4 years and my master's. By 40, I got my master's. My master's degrees was 10 times easier than all of those years that I learned in the trades.
Wow.
And I added more to society based on my skilled trades. And I still apply all my talents from the skilled trades. The master's is all a bunch of theory taught by a bunch of professors that never did anything. In fact, in college, I was teaching my professors things because they never did anything practical. But it's just a sad commentary on our society that we didn't value the trades. And what I will say is that there was a time in the 40s and 50s when a man was a journeyman, he was looked up to. And somehow our society turned you into a shop rat. And what a shame.
Yeah, what a shame.
Because journeymen add a lot of value to our world. You only need to look at where all the money is today. All of the money's in China now because all the skilled trades moved to China.
You're not
All
wrong.
the skilled trades, it's insane. All of that money, all that added value. If you want to make money, you need to add value. It's business 101.
So true.
And we let it all go to other countries. And it's not just machining and tool making.
No.
It could be furniture
manufacturing.
making. It could be steel making. You took all the trades. We let it all leave our country because we're better than that. And now you have a bunch of people running around with no opportunities, no ability to better themselves.
No valuable skills to add to society. Yeah.
It's somewhere along the way these educators miss the mark, and we need to change that.
I agree.
So I don't know if that was what you wanted to
That's
hear, but
exactly right. Thank you very much. Here with Phil. I got to ask questions to Phil because we don't know each other very well, but Mac was his teacher as well. What year did you graduate?
1978.
1978. So there's history here. So Phil, what do you do?
I have multiple businesses, but I've got an insurance practice.
Okay.
So I'm not even in the tool business or
No.
the mold making or none of that. But I was early on. I was doing it, but I got out of it.
So you started multiple companies. You had Mac as a teacher. What did Mac instill in you? What did you get out of his class that's made a difference?
His first year, I was a freshman, 1974.
Wow.
And, so what was I, 14, 15 years old?
Okay.
And we all know teenagers, it's very vulnerable at that point. You can go left, right, down, up, and, I was smoking, and I hate to admit it, I smoked a lot of weed, and I got a shop class.
All right.
So I go into the shop class, and one of the very first things he said with the whole class, he says, look, I can teach you whatever you want me to teach you in here, but you got to want it, and two, you don't come in here. It's kind of focused at me because my eyes were red. Don't come in here high. He says if you do, then you just sit your ass in that bench right there for the whole hour and a half, and I'll pass you. Show up, don't get hurt, and I'll pass you.
Wow.
Well, it's like, wow. And also, of course, a couple times I come in high, and it's like, all right, well, there's my seat. And I'm watching all these kids learn shit. And I'm going, wow, I could do this. So he really influenced me a great deal.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah, it was huge. Guy's been to my wedding.
How did you continue to stay in touch with them?
I just, like some of the other guys would say, they just, once I graduated, when I was working in the tool business, I worked probably about 6 years. If I had some time, I was working midnights on one job, so I just stopped at the school. stop in and sit and talk to him.
Wow.
You know, and he'd encourage and do different things. And then I got out of that business, and well, there was a recession that hit,
Okay.
so I got laid off. Well, then it was, what do I do? Well, I ended up going in the insurance business because somebody said that you could probably sell something and you need a job. So I did. But what he taught me was whatever, and my dad did this too. My dad was my biggest influence. You know,
My mom was
he
mine.
my second
Yep, me
biggest
too.
influence. You know?
Without a doubt.
And so he just said, whatever you do, be the best at it. You know,
That's awesome.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, the encouragement and the stuff that he said was so real world. It was so different from every class I took. So, and I was 95. So you were there towards the beginning of his career, and I was in the middle. And my first employee was at the end of his career, which he's still going. He's 84, learning a pan flute, and he's having us over for dinner tonight. I just think it's unbelievable the impact that he's made.
Absolutely.
What we've done.
There's only 15 of us or so here.
Yeah, there's only 16. Yeah,
The
15, 16 of
hundreds
us.
that he's touched.
Yeah, and I think he said there's over 50 people. 50 companies have started from his students, and I think that's impressive. And great. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for him. It's inspiring to hear your story as well. I appreciate you sharing with us. But I really want to shine the light on him. He's connected with us in a way where we're all friends with his friends. Where I can talk to Phil and I feel like I know him, and I just met him tonight.
If every educator could do what he did, or I don't even want to say did, is doing, because he still does it,
Yeah.
this world would be a better place.
Yeah, and my goal is he wanted to be famous in Vegas, and I think I want to help him be famous for making a difference in our trade, in our industry, and education. And I'm hoping to hopefully spread this across as many people will see it and like it. But that's what it is. These are the secrets, I think, to what a good teacher is, and it's the relationship that he forms for this many years is unheard of. I've never heard of it. And I didn't even realize how valuable it is until I've come to an event like this just to talk to Mac, his former students, my old bosses. It almost makes me want to cry. It's like, wow, that's where it is. That's the secret. So thank you, Phil, for your time, and I'm hoping to have more times with you here.
I come whenever he invites me.
Yeah, and we'll try to continue the lessons. I'm excited. Thank you very much.
Down. Oh yeah, to a fault. But as
Of all the mentors and all the teachers in your lifetime, who does this? Brings 16 of his students from over all of the years and brings them together to share their lives and their stories. That is a man that is dedicated to help others. It's a man that's a mentor. Who does that at 84 years old? It's pretty
Tom
amazing.
McCormick, Mac, Mr. Mac. Absolutely. All right, I'm at another student, Butch here. What year did you have Mac for a teacher?
I think 89, 91, 92.
Wow, there is a lot of variety here. It's pretty impressive. We got 15 people here, former students, talking about the impact that Mac has had in their lives. What is something that you took from his class that you appreciated?
You know, Mac was the unconventional teacher. He would always just teach you life lessons. You know, if you screwed up on the machine, he was your boss. He wasn't your teacher. He would tell you how to fix it and correct it in a lot of different terms, I guess I would say.
And we'll try to keep it clean here.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. He was real world for us.
Yeah. So, and that's what I think drew a lot of us together. We liked that. He was down to earth. He was a people person.
Yeah, he treated us like a human being and not a
He
student.
treated us like one of him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely, and still does today. So
he
it's,
does,
it's
and
impressive.
this is why we're all here.
Yeah, I agree. What do you do now?
We own a manufacturing company.
All right, you started a company.
Well, I took it over from my dad.
Still, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
we're still involved.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have you taught anybody the trade over the years?
I try to every day.
Okay. That's
So I got two of my nephews into the trade.
You wish they had Mac for a teacher?
Absolutely.
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 Yeah, I am with you in that boat. There is not enough good teachers, and I'm hoping to spread his teachings with what we're going to share. And it's huge that you guys have come and shared what he did and meant for you.
Yeah, and not to mention, he would always call a buddy of mine and myself, and he would just be like, "Hey, let's go golfing Thursday morning," you know. And I think like you're not going to get that out of a normal teacher.
No, I agree. I mean, he made it a relationship more important than anything else, and I think that's why the impact is so great. I think that's the secret.
And
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, and then he would bring down newspaper articles for. He framed it for us. During our time at the school, we built the train track and a train, or the wood shop built the train. We built the metal tracks and the metal parts for the train, and he brought down an article from the newspaper. He framed it for me, brought it down to the shop, and
That's the real electric train he made for the stage?
not the electric train.
Okay.
But that's just,
That's huge. That's
and that
pretty
was
awesome.
that was 20 years later.
Wow. Wow. Wow, that's fantastic. I appreciate your input.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think him by enough by now.
I know him a little bit.
He may have been 4 years. I don't know.
All right, so we're here with Al Valentine. Al started a shop a long time ago. Al is my second boss, and hoping this mic is working. It is. But I gotta ask Al, when did you graduate?
77.
And you had Mac for what years in shop class?
Well, it would be, I think, either 3 or 4 years prior.
Okay.
Obviously. Well, he said he joined there in 74, so it could only be 3 years.
Okay, all right. What was something that you got from his class that stuck with you up till now? And there might not be just one. There might be many.
Well, there's a lot of things that stuck with me. But,
Something clean.
But let's put it this way here. You want the eye opener? The eye opener was
Yes.
you failed. You've done a great job in class, but I'm failing you. And I mean, I was stuck
Wow.
because he did fail me. I think it was only one semester, but I was notorious for skipping class.
Ah.
He said, "You might do the job well, but you don't come to my class."
That'll do it. That'll do it.
So that's why he failed me, and I did well after that. Actually, I ended up leaving high school with honors.
Nice.
But
I did not know that.
That's how it was, yeah.
So yeah, that's huge. So where do you work now? What did you do after school? Did you work for someone else and then start a company?
yeah.
Where did you go?
Yeah, I was in worked for JD and learned stamping dies initially, and then I got into large machining in the automation side of things, and then after I learned the large machining, then I went into injection molds, and the first place I worked on injection molds, I was doing the mold bases on the large machine.
Okay.
And then I learned cavity cutting and so forth. But that was, let's see, I worked for Citation. That was about 3 or 4 shops later. And then I went to work for Dynasty Mold full time, and then they made me a leader, and I was there a few years, and that's when I was far away from home, and I decided I'd just go out on my own.
Oh.
Started in the basement.
Started in the basement. It's a familiar thing. Well, you've made a big impact with people you've hired and the companies you've started. So I'm grateful personally because you were my second boss. That taught me molds, and I learned a lot from you. And I appreciate you. So it's interesting how so many good things came from a shop class in Chippewa Valley.
Yeah.
From 1974 till I believe for 31 years. So this is kind of just a recognition of Mac and all that he's done for us and poured into us, and we're here at his house still hanging out with him. So I'm impressed. Long time. So have you ever taught anyone else the trade?
Oh, I had numerous apprentices.
Yes, I'm one of them.
Lots of people.
Yeah, so he's
I
taught
actually
lots.
get pleasure out of doing it.
Yeah,
And then teaching them how to do it correctly.
correctly. That's key. So yeah, I think that's a huge lack that we have today, and I'm hoping that we can share some of our knowledge and honor all you guys, along with Mac, and spread the idea that mold making is still a good trade. Machining is a great career, and there's a lot of young kids and my own kids that need something to do. So
And that whole environment is changing too, because it's cleaning up. Let's face it.
it is.
Who wants to walk into a dirty shop anymore?
No one.
It's just
No, and you've had one of the nicest, cleanest shops I've ever worked at.
and,
So
and I get upset when I get greasy at work.
yeah, no, I agree. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks.